All right, folks, we got maintenance in 13 and a half hours, and we have the patch notes for the Invincible Iron Man update that will be landing tonight. So just a clarification for you guys, I believe the update is scheduled to finish at midnight Pacific time, which is 3 a.m. Eastern. I will be live shortly before that, hopefully at like 2:50 Eastern. I got to get my beauty sleep in, of course. And I will be diving into the update. We might be tier 4 Hulkbuster day 1. Who knows what we're going to do? We might get crazy with it. I don't want to make any promises right now, but I mean, he's no null, right? But we'll be checking out the update. It'll be really fun. You should hit it up. Lots of people show up, and it's usually a blast. We have the new World Boss Legend to check out, etc. It's going to be fun. Also, keep in mind, because there's so much new, well, so much, because there is some new content, you should save, at least one, but I would say save all 5 of your world boss fights for after the maintenance if you can, and save some other things as well. So let's dive right in here. We have Iron Man's new uniform. I'm going to pull up the old one side by side. I haven't looked at it in a long time to basically compare here. So chain hit is exactly the same as the old uniform from 2022, back to basics. The ignore dodge is new. It's 15%, and then he keeps that amazing 30%, when damage is when HP is under 30%, he deals 200% damage. He keeps that, which is amazing. Apparently, his tier 3 has changed a little bit. I can't tell how it's changed. It looks exactly the same to me with a 15-second accumulation and all of this other stuff. Apparently, it's changed. I don't know. I don't know why they listed it as changed. Apparently, it's changed. I can't see. Crit damage, 50% crit damage is the same. 33% guaranteed dodge is the same. And the skill damage bonus damage is, say with me now, the same. Precision aim, 20% crit rate, 20% dodge, 20% energy attack. This is all the same. So I haven't actually found anything new on Iron Man's uniform except for the 15% ignore dodge. Keep that in mind. Okay, first skill has fracture. Yeah, it always had fracture. And it's actually a little bit longer cooldown. Second skill here, invisibility. That has to be new for sure. But yeah, otherwise it's got a slightly shorter cooldown, and it applies silence and paralysis and shock instead of burn and fracture. Third skill here, we have invincibility with 40% attack. This is all the same, exactly the same. It's got the same cooldown, and it just doesn't have the continuous attack because his third skill was like a beam attack. So sure. Missile Simplicity has had its hit count increased, so that's cool. That means it has to do more damage or has to apply additional damage. All this other stuff is the same. Heal is the same. The damage proc is the same. And the cooldown is the same. Okay, very cool. I didn't know this was so copy-paste. And then Undercover Union, which has a really cool animation, I should say, now has Fracture and Burn instead of Burn and Shock and Paralysis. It has the 80% chance to miss, which is new, I guess. And then it has the Frenzy buff with the 15-second cooldown. Yep. So exactly the same. Very few changes for Iron Man. Bit disappointing, I would say. I don't know if this is just a cosmetic look for him. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how well he plays, but it should be interesting to compare him to Back to Basics. All of the other uniforms, I'm not going to go ahead and compare them to their old ones because they're so long ago, right? We're talking 2021 for Hulkbuster, 2021 for War Machine. It's been very long, so these should be upgrades, right? These should be pretty big upgrades. So Hulkbuster's getting a 20% chain hit damage reduction, which is very nice, very tanky. And when his HP is below 99%, he's going to heal for 3%. He keeps his leadership with a 35% all attack and then an extra 70 for Iron Man. He's got super armor, all defense, skill damage, bonus damage, and then 30% damage. It's kind of cut off, but it's 30% damage reduction. He still applies that support passive, all technokinetic, which is a weird way of saying machine allies. All machine allies are going to get a 35% increase of HP. Now, his second skill is going to be a counterattack iframe ignore skill, so it's both things. It doesn't mean that it has to be counterattack to have ignore iframe. It has ignore iframe, but it also has counterattack, which is nice. And the skill has remove all debuffs, which is very, very nice to see with immunity. We'll have to wait and see how consistent this is. We've long complained about counter skills, unless it's like Adam's counter skill. There's always some inconsistencies, but they did mention Dr. Doom's counter skill at the end of the patch notes, so we'll get to that. His third skill has V-Pad with a barrier, which is very nice, and a frenzy buff. His fourth skill has a heal, which is great. And then his fifth skill has fracture, paralysis, invincibility, and accumulation. So I actually really like Hulkbuster. He looks pretty nice. but we'll have to wait and see how he tests in game. War Machine here gets 50% crit damage, 10% chain hit, and then 30% guaranteed crit rate. So it looks like he's PvE oriented. His leadership has been changed to having blast type allies increase their attack by 40%, rather than, I believe it was physical attack on his old uniform. It was all allies, so it is being restricted out to blast types, but now it's all attack, which means it applies either energy attack or physical attack, which is more flexible. He gets 30% ignore, dodge, skill damage, bonus damage, and he gets a damage reduction, which is nice. He actually improves his passive, so now War Machine is a bona fide support for machine allies, like Iron Man, obviously Hulkbuster, Dr. Octopus, Cable, where he's going to give them increased HP, increased damage to villains, and decreased damage received from villains. So this is actually very nice. It also gives us a bona fide support to go along with Riri Williams' Ironheart for machine type stages of World Boss Legend. Then we have his skills here. Nothing too crazy to talk about on the first two skills. Third skill has immunity and then accumulation, but it's accumulation based on damage received. So War Machine's still going to be a little bit tricky to play. Keep that in mind. He gets a damage buff and invincibility on his fourth skill, and then he keeps the V-pad with the heal and the frenzy buff on his fifth skill. I think they could have changed his accumulation, if you're asking me. But yeah, we'll see. I hope War Machine is good because he's always really cool to play animation-wise. And then Rescue's new uniform. So she's going to get a uniform effect that gives all allies 25% HP and 25% recovery rate. This is not very good in the current year. This is actually pretty stingy considering, you know, Beast gives all allies HP. Old Thing uniform, right, gave all allies HP. So yeah, her leadership does seem interesting. When HP is below 99%, give all allies a shield equal to 50% of max HP for 5 seconds every 10 seconds. This seems good. It's not very good. It's good for cheeky like Alliance Conquest stuff, but it's not that good, unfortunately. She gets passives to buff her own damage with energy attack, skill damage, bonus damage, and then 25% damage reduction. But she has no V-pad, no iframe ignore, no counterattack skill. She gets frenzy here with immunity, barrier with another frenzy buff, and she gets invincibility with another damage buff. The only real cool thing she gets is on Sonic Missile. It has a dome that follows her around, sort of like Wasp's dome, and it heals 40% HP heal, and then it cleanses debuffs for 5 seconds. So this could make Rescue a decent option for Otherworld Battle. The problem is that you'd be giving up one of your DPS units. Currently, the way that Otherworld Battle works, you use 4 DPS characters, and then you use 1 support like Wasp, Angel, Strife, Invisible Woman to get that debuff cleanse. Because Rescue doesn't have that debuff cleanse like those other characters I just mentioned, you would have to sacrifice another character that does damage just for that. I don't think that's worth it. I think they should have given Rescue cleanse, even if it's only for technokinetic allies. I think they definitely should have given her cleanse. It doesn't look very good right now for Rescue. And then we have the new tier 4s for War Machine and Hulkbuster. War Machine's is super boring. It's increase attack plus increase attack. Yeah, just very phone home type creativity there. And then Hulkbuster gets a cooler one. He gets much cooler one, actually. He gets a attack buff, and he gets a rechargeable shield, which is up to 120% of his max HP, and it recharges 35% every second. I believe this is like Tony's shield. It's very, very nice. So it's like offense, defense kind of thing, which is cool. And then we get the awakening for Wiccan and Hulkling. A lot of people pointed out, probably correctly, that Wiccan is getting a Transcendence so that they can give him a tier 4 and a uniform for Agatha all along. I would not be surprised. However, nothing to talk about on the awakening skill. It's pretty generic. It looks cool, I guess. He's blasting from above while Hulkling is slashing from below. I think they both deserve better. They're way more powerful in the comics, but we'll have to wait and see. And then we have the new World Boss Legend Plus Corvus and Proxima. So this is going to be a new difficulty, slightly more difficult than Black Swan. This is going to be World Boss Legend 7, I believe. And you can unlock it by owning 3 or more tier 4s and clearing all World Boss challenges by beating Kang 5 times, Black Phoenix 5 times, Dark Phoenix, 5 times, and Black Swan 5 times. So you beat the other 3 most recent World Boss Legends 5 times each, and then you're good to go. This is a tier 4 only World Boss Legend Plus, just like Black Swan, so no tier 3s, no transcended characters. Yeah, it is what it is. And I have some good news and some bad news. So it's got all the regular stuff for World Boss Legend. It appears that you do fight Proxima at some point because it lists speed for Corvus, but also universal for Proxima. So yeah, you should expect to fight both of them, which I think is really cool. And you can see some of the screenshots here from the fight. The thing that's disappointing is that you can obtain the mighty CTP of energy, regen, destruction, judgment, authority, greed, refinement, and insight. That is not what was displayed. That's not what was advertised during the live stream. During the live stream, it made it look like you could get a mighty rage or a mighty conquest from these bosses. So I'm a little bit disappointed to see that they sort of did a bait and switch there. I mean, I don't think a lot of players were like, oh my god, I'm so happy for this boss because of the rage and conquest, but I still think it's kind of silly for them to advertise something that they don't intend on keeping their promise on. It's just unnecessary. Just don't do that, okay? The good thing is, or this kind of strange thing is, they said that agents can attain an emblem for either Corvus Glaive or an emblem for Proxima as the first clear reward for every 10 floors from the 50th floor and above. Now, this screenshot has nothing to do with what they just said, and I don't know what they mean by an emblem. Is there going to be a new emblem collection? Because there are no existing emblems for Corvus or Proxima. Or is this a translation error and these are supposed to be icons? Like an animated icon for Corvus and an animated icon for Proxima? I like that it's a very high floor because it encourages, like, it forces you to climb this world boss. But at the same time, we have to know what the hell this is. I'm not going to start climbing until I know what this is. If it's an icon, I'm good. If it's a new emblem collection, okay, I'm listening. That could be quite strong. So yeah, this is kind of interesting. And they should also add, when Corvus and Proxima do get new uniforms and upgrades and tier 4s and whatever, they should add their artifacts to these drops as well, like they did for Black Swan. So it's kind of like a double dip on the rewards, which is nice. So I do like that, but we have to wait and see. For some reason, like, I don't know why the patch notes are so unclear. Like, it shouldn't be. These are the patch notes. This is where the information has to be. And then we have the new CTP. I'm not going to go into like hyper depth about this. It's the CTP of Liberation. Obviously, we're going to have to test this to see if it's good. It reads pretty good. It increases damage to Destruction and Justice Insight characters, and then it increases damage against Order, Cruelty, Instinct characters. This is just like a different way of scaling damage increases, and if you're wondering why that's good, well, picture each type of damage increase, whether it's damage to heroes, damage to villains, damage to humans, damage to whatever. They're all different buckets, and they all apply a separate multiplier. So rather than filling up one bucket 100%, to 100% increase, what you want to do is actually increase each bucket to 20%, because that's going to add more multipliers, which is going to increase the number at the end more, because there's more multiplication actions happening to that final damage number. Okay, that's why, like, when new effects get introduced, they're often way overpowered. Like when they introduced final damage scaling for Hulk and Black Bolt, that was a disaster. But that's what I'm guessing is going to happen here. I don't think this CTP is going to be like head and shoulders better than the Insight CTP. I think it's going to matter for sure what kind of account you have built, because you can get a lot of pierce damage reduction from emblems and from swords and stuff like that. I think it's from swords, maybe not. But you can get additional pierce damage received from other content. They've also reduced the amount of pierce that you take from a lot of PvP content. So I think that they did that kind of knowing that they would release this CTP to sort of overtake the value of Insight, because one of the Insight reforged effects is to decrease the additional pierce damage received. But if you're already receiving a reduced amount because they changed PvP, then this is better. So yeah, it's unfortunate that they may have done that kind of on the sly and we didn't realize it, but yeah, it is what it is. Decreasing chain hit is strong, but it does not stack in duplicate. So if you're hoping to stack this with Agent Venom's decreased chain hit, it's not going to work. Hulkbuster's chain hit, it's not going to work. But yeah, it does apply an HP increase to allies, or it applies a damage dealt increase to allies who have when targets have a higher max HP, which applies to all PvE content. Again, this seems good, but it doesn't seem to be like insane. Just like the CTP of Insight, it's probably going to be useful to have one or two of them on hand. But is this the new Rage CTP? Is this the new Conquest CTP? No, it's not going to be that strong. We have the new artifacts here. Hulkbuster gets damage to heroes and villains. That's all right. A War Machine gets increased damage dealt to enemies with 50% HP or higher, which technically is an ABX ABL artifact, which is crazy to say, but yeah, it's true. Rescue gets a shit artifact. Wiccan gets heroes and villains buff, and Hulkling gets increased attack. The new Future Pass. So this is a big change. They're reducing the cost of the Mythic Future Pass. They're calling it the Future Pass Plus. And they're reducing they're slashing the price down to $20, which I think is great because it was way overpriced. And they're also improving the rewards. So lower cost and improved rewards is a recipe for me likey. They're adding tier 4 materials. You can see their Soul of the Faltine on the legendary one for $10, along with the icon, Odin's Blessing chest, and tier 2 mega ticket. And then on the last one, which is technically $30 because you have to buy the legendary and then buy the mythic, but yeah, you get a bunch of tier 4 materials. You get 250 Soul of the Faltine plus Life Seed plus Carbo. 250 is like a day's worth of farming on a high boss. You get emblem enhancement kits. You get the icon. You get a 4-star artifact. You get an Odin's Blessing selector with the new ones, and you get a mega mythic uniform ticket. So this is actually very attractive purchase, especially for players who need to make use of these mega mythic uniform tickets, which is quite nice. We have the new icons here, which honestly look pretty cool, especially, I think everything looks cool except the arc reactor, straight up. I think these are a really good batch of icons. We have the uniform collection, so speculation about a part 2 for this update is dead. They've also changed the uniform collection so that the newest one appears at the top, so no more scrolling, which is really good. They've added some UI searchability to artifacts, which is very nice. And then probably the biggest change for most players is that they've massively buffed. It seems like they've massively buffed the Dispatch Shop. Now, if you're wondering what the hell the Dispatch Shop is, when you go into Dispatch in the game, and I'll show you here right here, when you go into Dispatch in the game, and then you go down to the bottom here, there's a Dispatch Shop. And these rewards have long been memed on by players for being absolute shit tier. So they have finally upgraded them. And they've added new rewards. You can see here there's tier 4 materials that you can buy for tokens, which is for free, which is awesome because you farm tokens for free through your passive rewards from Dispatch. There's emblem enhancement kits that you can buy. You don't want to buy this for crystals, but if it's available for gold or Dispatch tokens, you want to scoop that up. And then they've massively reduced, look at this, they've massively reduced the cost of premium rewards. So this is being reduced from 6,500, it's being reduced to 3,450, which is a 50% decrease in the cost. And then on top of that, they're adding another 30% discount here to reduce this to 2,415 crystals. So this is a more than 50%. This represents a higher, like a 60% or 65% decrease in the cost of the P card. 2,400 crystals for a specific P card is not a bad deal, by the way. If you pull, for example, if you pull the Luna card and you really need that card, 2,400 crystals is not bad at all. That represents what, six gambling attempts when you gamble during the anniversary. Yeah, it's about 6 pulls. So it's not like this is not the best possible. This is not the best possible cost, but this is very, very close. This is very, very competitive. I'm curious to see what the CTPs cost. I might start getting CTPs out of Dispatch straight up. This is gonna have to become part of my daily rotation. That I check the Dispatch Shop every day. I refresh it 10 times a day, and I lurk to see every hour or every 6 hours or so. I check it out to see if something new is there because, yeah, this is very good. They're bringing back the updated hot deals, which is awesome. They're also, this Rune of Return pack is insane. I wish I would have waited because I was buying the stupid the Otherworld Battle Pass. But yeah, these are amazing. There's a new one with emblem enhancements where you get 2 emblem chests, 300 kits, and 1,000 crystals for $10. This is amazing. This is an insane sale. It almost makes me nervous how good these sales are right now. The marketing team is cooking hard. Yeah. And then there's some UI stuff. The achievement for linking your email in game is now live for 200 crystals. And again, they're warning you to link something because the Facebook account linking will end imminently. Yeah. And then the Marvel Future Fight web shop is going to be introduced through a separate notice, so we don't have it here in the patch notes, but they will talk about it soon. And then there are a bunch of game error fixes. The one I want to focus on here is the counterattack effect of Dr. Doom. Does not work occasionally after resurrection. So if you felt that your Dr. Doom was extra weak after being revived, you're not crazy. It's because his counterattack skill wasn't working. Again, adding more fuel to the fire, to the speculation that this Dr. Doom uniform was undercooked, was not properly reviewed and QA'd, that they didn't really try hard enough with the buff when they re-reviewed him. They didn't really put enough effort into it, and they're probably just trying to wait it out and weather the storm of players spamming hashtag buff doom until 2025, when the Fantastic Four movie comes out and they can release it then, or when the RDJ Doomsday movie comes out and they can release it then. I hate the RDJ casting, by the way, if you're wondering my take on that. But yeah, so yeah, those are the patch notes. Pretty good, I would say. Could have been better. I'm still dying to see what the hell that game mode is, but I'm excited a little bit for World Boss Legend Plus because of all this new stuff, and because of the new quirks fighting against 2 bosses. So I'll reserve, again, as always, I'll reserve final judgment for when I actually have my hands on the update, which will be tonight. So I'll see you guys in the live stream. Thank you so much for watching the video. Smash the like button if you enjoyed it, or the down if you didn't enjoy it. And I'll see you tonight. Like I said, take care.